Here we are. This is the first of a series that I'm doing on LinkedIn power users for my readers who are interested in leveraging LinkedIn as a tool to get the job that they're looking for, to make the connections. And as part of that, I felt it was really important to actually get in touch with and have conversations with power LinkedIn users. So today we're talking with Derek Weeks. And Derek has been using LinkedIn for 5 years. He is the vice president of a company called Sistar. And Derek, Sistar does business productivity software for businesses.
Yeah, we have two main software lines at software. One is business activity monitoring, which monitors key business processes at large enterprises. And the other is capacity management software that helps companies understand how much capacity they actually have within their networks and computer systems to handle the computing demands on those systems.
Okay. And so one of the things from Derek's LinkedIn profile that really struck me, several things. One, he has well over 500 connections. And I'm going to take a guess here and say that those aren't just numbers, those are quality connections that you've over the years.
Absolutely. With 5 years on LinkedIn, there's been a lot of time where I've been able to connect with past colleagues, schoolmates that I have, as well as professional contacts that I've made through Sistar and other companies.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that really struck me about, and today we'll talk to Derek about how he uses LinkedIn, what are some of the power tips that he has to share with us, and also a couple of success stories about job search in his own life. But I do want to read a summary because I think it's really powerful and I think it's really well crafted. So I'm going to read that right now. It's really quick. It says, driven marketing executive with proven ability to successfully capitalize on emerging market trends at large and small companies. Accomplished at leading product planning, bringing new technologies to market, revamping product organizations, and driving rapid revenue growth through sales channels. What I like about it is not only the power verbs, which were all important, but the use of nouns, and nouns that people in your industry are going to resonate with. And I thought that was particularly powerful, in particular, emerging market trends, bringing new technologies to market, product organizations. These are nouns that people in your industry, I imagine.
Yeah, Joshua, it's a good point that you bring up the summary because many people on LinkedIn may consider that the summary is not often read and they may not spend much time on it. And I'll tell you that when I'm being introduced to someone new or looking for new people in my network, that summary really gives me a good idea of what this person can bring to the table, why I should add them to my network if I'm getting a request, or why I want them to be in my network. So this is something that you would think most people might glance over and really look toward the specific work experience, but I know myself, as well as a number of recruiters that I've worked with over the years, really focus on that summary as the first thing that they're going to read about you in the profile on LinkedIn.
Would there be any tips on summary writing for job seekers, maybe some mentality to bring to that process?
Yeah, I think like any mentality, especially as you write your resume as a job seeker, you want to focus on the things that you're excellent at. What's your primary experience? What are your strengths, and really highlight those. If you want to be in sales, for instance, you want to tell people that you've closed the largest deals at your company, that you've met quota several years in a row, but you don't want to tell them PowerPoint presentations together or using Skype or LinkedIn. Those might not be part of the power summaries that you want to put together. So keep it focused, keep it concise, and look at the strengths that you want people to highlight and think, this is the type of thing that I want to be hired to do, especially if you're a job seeker, and I think that kind of summary will pay off for you.
I had a conversation today with a career advisor who said that a resume is an obituary. because it tells you what you did, not what you're going to do. And I think, Derek, you made a really great point. You write your summary for what you would like to offer the potential employer.
Yeah, and I think also as you write these summaries, it is supposed to be a summary. I've seen people that have gone on for paragraph after paragraph listing every single skill that they have, especially people with really strong technical backgrounds. They want to try and get absolutely everything in. Too much information can be distracting to people that are potentially looking at your profile and judging whether they want to hire you. Finding the needle in the haystack is not necessarily the way to go, but really focusing on short, summarized versions of what you have in the summary is important.
Okay. Well, we'll get off the summaries, but I have one last question for you about it, and that would be, if you were to give a guideline for how long a summary should be, what would that guideline be?
Well, because mine is about 5 lines, all lines is perhaps the most perfect length for your summary.
Well said. Okay.
But no more than 10. No more than 10.
5 to 10, okay. 30 to 90 seconds to read it. Would you say that's fair?
I would say let's focus on 30.
Okay. Shorter the better.
I will say, as a hiring manager, I've seen a lot of resumes, and these days, even more resumes are coming in. The competition is very stiff, and you have to think about how a hiring manager is going to look at your resume. So, when I get a stack of resumes on my desk, I maybe spend 90 seconds on the entire resume because I'm trying to get the highlights of what are these people good at, what are their strengths. Do I want to consider them for a more in-depth read? So, 90 seconds may be it for the entire resume if you want to get my attention and have me read more detail about it.
Okay. Great to get that perspective as a hiring manager. Because often, I think as job seekers, we get caught in our own little worlds, and we forget that we're still selling ourselves, and we need to step into the shoes of our client, which is the prospective company that we're looking for.
Exactly.
Well, I wanted to move it on, Derek, and ask you about how you use LinkedIn for your own professional networking. Do you do, what types of searches do you run? How do you expand your network, and how do you keep it focused on where you want to be rather than making it a numbers game?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that try and make LinkedIn a numbers game, and especially for the recruiting business, that's probably key depending on the uses. For recruiters, they want to be connected to as many people as possible to be able to see as many profiles as possible. As a professional, I try and really limit the number of users that I'm connected to because I want to have useful conversations with these people. I did find early on that I was trying to connect to people, or as many people as possible, but then I found out I was getting the odd requests here and there from people that I didn't really know. I was thinking just the other day about the LinkedIn and how it's used. A lot of my contacts, I'm able to link into people or network with people that are 1 degree or 2 degrees away from me. And when I think about the people that are 3 or 4 degrees away from me, it's very difficult to really forward those kind of recommendations that are 4 degrees away or even sometimes 3 degrees away, because it's just too quite often. There are not many cases, at least for me personally, where a 3rd or 4th degree connection is really useful. So those people, the 740 people that I'm connected to that I can actively use and actively go to are much more powerful to me because I know these people. I've worked with them directly, or I have a close personal connection to their business, the type of industry that we're in, or perhaps a community that we serve outside of work.
Yeah, great guidelines. Again, just for the readers, LinkedIn, I went black. LinkedIn is not a numbers game. It's about the quality of the connections you make. And remember that we're doing this with the end in mind and the end is to create powerful offline connections with potential hiring managers or potential information sources for companies that we're prospecting.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you about recommendations. I noticed that you have 43 recommendations on your site.
Yes.
Did you solicit those? Were they unsolicited? Did you trade? I'll give you one if you give me one. How did you go about getting those?
Yeah, so at the beginning, I was soliciting a number of recommendations. It's one of the things that LinkedIn enables you to do. So I was simply taking advantage of the service that LinkedIn offers to provide these recommendations. So that helped me establish the first few. Recommendations usually happen with people that are looking for jobs or seeking jobs. So with people that I've worked with previously that have left the company that I was working at, or sometime later left the company, they're always looking for recommendations from their peers or managers within the organization. And for those people that I really enjoyed working with, I was able to provide recommendations to them. It's quite common if I'm to provide someone a recommendation, for them to come back with a recommendation as a kind of tit for tat, as you were saying. It generally works positively that way. Recommendations don't often come out of the blue, although they have. It's really something that you have to work at. And I think, for those people that are in the job market really searching for new opportunities, having the recommendations not only helps provide a better presence for you on LinkedIn, but it's also a confidence booster. A lot of people that are looking for new jobs, could use a confidence boost on occasion. And to have someone that you used to work with, whether it be a peer or a manager or subordinate, say good things about you, can definitely make you feel better about your job search that day, that you really did provide value to the organizations that you worked with. So there are a number of values that the recommendations provide.
Yeah, that's a great point about confidence. When we're seeking for jobs, to put our best foot forward, oftentimes that's when our confidence is waning. And anything we can do to help ourselves feel better about our qualifications and skills is going to be extremely valuable, especially in a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, LinkedIn has given me an opportunity to travel the world, Eric, and I haven't told you this before, but I was able to connect with some executives over in Vietnam when I was there, and bought them a cup of coffee and talked about their business. I met with the operations officer at the Mercedes factory, the Scandinavians at IKEA that they were opening up. So it gave me a great opportunity to meet new people and to travel. And I'm sure that you have success stories of your own where LinkedIn has helped your career, guided it even, and taken you in powerful directions.
Yeah, I mean, really, I can't imagine doing business today without LinkedIn. It's such a powerful networking tool. And so let me share a couple of success stories that I have. One is, for the job seekers out there within your audience, one of the things that I found most powerful and really a memory that comes back to me with LinkedIn was declining a job offer. Most people out there in this job seeker community are trying to find jobs, and they find a job offer if they get one. But I was being recruited by several different companies at one time. I was looking for potential opportunities with technology firms in Texas, and one firm in particular sounded really good. I had interviewed with their executive team. I was excited about the opportunity. It sounded like a right fit for my background, and I went and did some research on LinkedIn with the people that were there. I noticed during the interviews that a couple of the people were new to the organization, and LinkedIn allows you to search and see who were previous employees of the company. Well, when I did a search on previous employees, I noticed that 5 key executives had left the company 3 months prior to me interviewing at the company.
Oh,
so what I did through my connections was I linked in to some of those executives who are still contacts of mine today. And I talked to them about the president who was hiring me for that particular position, about the direction of the business itself. And all 5 of these executives recommended, for very good reasons, that I don't go and join that company. That what I was hearing during the interview process wasn't necessarily going to come to be true once I joined that firm. And I ended up declining that particular job offer that I got. Now, that's something to really keep in mind. Not all jobs are good jobs, and LinkedIn can help you determine if it's not a good job. On the flip side of that opportunity, one of those executives that ended up leaving that company ended up contacting me a couple of months later and hired me at their new company. They were looking for someone with a lot of product marketing and product management experience. Through that LinkedIn connection that I had made to decline the first job, I was actually able to get a very good job at that company. So LinkedIn definitely helps out in both finding jobs and declining jobs, which may be to some of your viewers out there.
One thing I often teach people is the best source of information about a company to determine your fit, and that's really important, are exit. And a little-known function of LinkedIn is that you can do a company search, and that company search will tell you 2 really important things: who left the company recently and who's new. Both types of people, I think, are amazing sources of information. And Derek, it helps you determine that it just wasn't going to be a fit for you. That closed door opened up through LinkedIn a whole other career, and I think that's an amazing story, very inspiring.
Yeah, and the former employees are also a good source of information for competitive intelligence. So part of what I do in my product marketing role, we have a competitive intelligence team. They're always looking for new information about competitors, and LinkedIn offers a number of discussion groups where my competitors have a discussion group or participate in a discussion group, or their former employees participate in that kind of discussion group. And I've seen postings from users or competitors saying, hey, is there anyone using my software from this company, or I'm evaluating this software. Does anyone have any experience using it? And you see both the positive mentions and the negative mentions. Mm-hmm. You can get a really good idea of what your competitors are up to and how much people like or don't like using their software, product, or service, whatever it may be. And people are sometimes too candid about the kind of information that they share. Information that might be better off kept private is sometimes spilled out into the public, and that works to my benefit sometimes.
I can see that working for a job seeker who might want to add might want to show their value to the potential employer by finding some potential weaknesses in the product or service, and then offering a solution during a job interview to add value. Yeah,
or at least knowing which strengths to highlight that people really like, saying that you've talked directly to the customer base or had mm-hmm. conversations with them, can be quite powerful. A lot of companies really pride themselves on their connection to the customers. And if you're showing in the interview that you've also made a connection to their customers or their community that they're serving, that can be a very powerful tool during a job interview.
That is a great point. That's going in my ninja bag of tricks.
Super. I need to get one of those too.
I keep it on my shoulder. Well, Derek, we're running up on 20 minutes here. And so before we close, I wanted to give you an opportunity. Any tricks, tips, any little secrets that you might be able to offer job seekers in their use of LinkedIn or other social media?
Yeah, social media and LinkedIn in particular gives you an opportunity to connect with people. And I think that, although there's a grand opportunity to connect with hundreds or thousands of people through a community of LinkedIn, you really have to use this kind of media in an intelligent way. You can't rudely introduce yourself to someone or expect a favor from a complete stranger. Networking, social networking, requires socialization or socializing with people. You can't simply barge into a conversation, request information from complete strangers, and really expect a lot of value out of it. So, like all relationships, as you socialize, you have to work with them and work at them to create the value that you want from those. So I would say, as you go out there, be smart about who you're connecting to and be polite as well, as you make these connections with people.
Great advice. I think Seth Godin was writing about this. We have thousands of years of human socialization in our one-on-one interactions, but we only have a couple of years on online interactions.
Yeah, Seth is someone that's very good to follow if anyone's reading his blog out there, and I know thousands are.
Definitely, highly recommended. Well, Derek, thanks for your time. I got a lot out of this conversation. I'm sure our readers did too. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Joshua. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you.